You sit down to start, and instead of starting, you open a new tab. You find a better template. You reorganize the folder. You watch one more tutorial because this one explains it differently. An hour later, the work is still untouched. But you don't feel like you wasted time. You feel like you almost got there. You've told yourself you're just being thorough, that when everything is ready, you'll begin. But nothing is ever quite ready. You already know this isn't really about preparation. Deep down, you know, because you've done this before. Gathered everything, built the perfect conditions, and then found a reason to gather more. The task stays at arm's length. And here's what's worth looking at. The research, the organizing, the optimizing, it all feels like movement. Your brain registers it as progress. There's a mild dopamine hit each time you close a tab with something useful in it. But if you pay close attention, you'll notice you feel it most right before you'd have to actually commit to something. The real question isn't why you don't start. It's why part of you is working so hard to stay in the preparation phase. There's a name for what's happening. Psychologists call it cognitive avoidance, but the specific flavor here is something more subtle. Your brain is running what you could call a competence simulation. Planning, organizing, researching, these all feel like signals that feel identical to competence. They're safe versions of the real thing, and your brain prefers them because the real thing comes with something preparation doesn't: exposure. The risk that you try and the result tells you something you weren't ready to hear. So the loop continues. You prepare, you feel capable, you don't start, you prepare again. Knowing the loop exists isn't enough to break it. Something else has to shift first. The problem was never that you weren't ready. It was that readiness became the point. When you understand what's actually happening, that your brain substituted real risk with safe competence signals, the feeling of the problem changes. You stop reading your preparation as evidence of thoroughness. You start reading it as evidence of something that needed protecting. Because avoidance this sophisticated doesn't come from laziness. It comes from somewhere smarter than that. At some point, putting yourself and your work into the world carried real cost. Maybe the feedback was harsh. Maybe the attempt failed in a way that stayed with you. Maybe being competent in theory felt safer than being tested in practice. Your brain learned, and then it built a system, careful, functional, convincing, to keep you out of that exposure. You're not fighting laziness. You're fighting a system that was built to keep you safe, and it is very good at its job. And here's what that means for you. More discipline won't fix this. More productivity systems won't fix this, because none of those address the signal your brain is actually responding to, which is threat. The research, the planning, the one more thing, they're not signs you're disorganized. They're signs that a very rational part of you decided not starting is safer than finding out. So the shift isn't forcing yourself past that. The shift is making it safe enough to begin. That might be a version so small it barely counts, a first draft that no one will read, a start with no finish required, something your nervous system can say yes to because it doesn't look like the thing it's been protecting you from. You don't need to override the system. You need to give it a reason to stand down. You'll sit down again. You'll open a tab. You'll feel the pull toward the folder, the template, the one more thing that would make this easier. And now, just for a second, you might notice what that pull actually is. Not thoroughness, not responsibility, something older than that. Something that learned somewhere that staying ready was safer than beginning. If you understand this, really understand it, you'll have a choice you didn't have before.